Story 1. The Delivery Driver. That Tuesday afternoon, my parents drove to the airport to pick up my sister from college, leaving me home alone for about 3 hours. I was 17 and had been trusted alone plenty of times before. Around 4 p.m., the doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw a delivery driver in a brown uniform holding a large box. He looked normal enough, maybe mid-40s, balding, with a clipboard tucked under his arm. "Package for the Hendersons," he called out. That was our name, so I opened the door but kept the security screen latched. "Just leave it on the porch," I said. "Need a signature," he insisted, tapping his clipboard. "Company policy for expensive items." I hesitated, then unlatched the screen. The moment I did, he dropped the box and shoved the door open with his shoulder, knocking me backward. I hit the floor hard as he stepped inside and locked the door behind him. "Where's the safe?" he demanded, pulling out a knife. "We don't have a safe," I stammered, scrambling backward. His face twisted with rage. "Don't lie to me, Ralph. Your dad works at the bank. I've been watching this house for 2 weeks." He knew my name. He'd been watching us. My phone was in my pocket, but his eyes never left me. Then I remembered. Dad had installed that panic button by the kitchen last month after the neighborhood break-ins. If I could just get there. Okay, I said, raising my hands. "It's in my dad's office upstairs. I'll show you." He grabbed my arm and yanked me to my feet. The knife was inches from my ribs. "No tricks, Ralph. I've done this before. I know exactly how long it takes for someone to bleed out." We walked toward the stairs. My mind was racing. The office was at the end of the hallway, but the kitchen, and that panic button, was just to our left. I needed a distraction. "How do you know my dad?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Shut up and walk." "I'm just saying, if you've been watching us, you know we don't have much. My dad's just a teller. He doesn't have access to the vault or anything." The man shoved me forward. "Your dad's the assistant manager, Ralph. I've seen the documents. Stop playing dumb." We reached the top of the stairs. My dad's office was straight ahead, but I could see the kitchen entrance from here. The panic button was mounted on the wall behind the coffee maker, disguised as a light switch. Nobody would notice it unless they knew what to look for. "Please," I said, letting my voice crack. "Just take whatever you want. I won't tell anyone." "You're right about that," he said coldly. That's when I made my move. I pretended to trip, falling forward and catching myself on the hallway wall. He lunged to grab me, and in that split second, I pushed off and sprinted toward the stairs, but not up. "Down! Stop!" he screamed. I took the stairs 3 at a time, nearly falling twice. I could hear his boots pounding behind me. I hit the landing and veered left into the kitchen. The panic button was right there. His hand caught the back of my shirt, yanking me backward. I crashed into the kitchen table, sending chairs clattering to the floor. He was on top of me in seconds, the knife raised above his head. I threw my arm up and my hand hit something, the coffee pot. It was still half full from this morning. I grabbed it and swung it as hard as I could. Hot coffee exploded across his face. He screamed, dropping the knife and clutching his eyes. I rolled away, scrambled to my feet, and slammed my palm against the panic button. A shrill alarm pierced the air. The man was still screaming, wiping at his face. He looked at me with red, streaming eyes full of pure hatred. "You little..." He dove for the knife, but I was already running. I made it to the front door, threw it open, and ran straight into the street, screaming for help. Mrs. Chun from across the street was getting her mail. She saw me and immediately pulled out her phone. The man stumbled out of my house, still holding his face. He looked around, saw Mrs. Chun on the phone, saw me in the middle of the street with neighbors starting to come outside. He ran to his van and peeled away, tires squealing. The police arrived 4 minutes later. I was sitting on Mrs. Chen's porch, shaking so badly I could barely hold the glass of water she'd given me. The cops searched our house, found a drop box on our porch. Empty, just a prop. They found his knife on our kitchen floor. "You did good, son," one officer said. "That panic button probably saved your life." They caught him 2 days later at a motel 3 towns over. His name was Dennis Kroger, and he had a record: home invasion, armed robbery, assault. He'd been targeting families where the parents worked at banks, thinking they have cash or access codes at home. Turns out, he'd gotten my dad confused with someone else. My dad wasn't an assistant manager. He was just a regular teller, like I tried to tell him. Dennis had been watching the wrong house for 2 weeks. The detective told me that if I hadn't hit that panic button, if I hadn't fought back, Dennis probably would have killed me when he realized his mistake. Dead witnesses don't testify, the detective said. It's been 6 months. Dennis is in prison awaiting trial, and I have to testify next month. My parents installed 3 more panic buttons throughout the house. We got a security system with cameras. Dad made me take a self-defense class. But none of that stops the nightmares. I still see him standing in my doorway, knife in hand, saying my name like he knew me. I still feel his hand grabbing my shirt, still see that knife coming down. Some nights I wake up convinced I hear footsteps on our porch, convinced someone else is watching, waiting for me to be alone again. Mom says it'll get easier with time. The therapist says I'm experiencing normal trauma responses. But the truth is, I don't answer the door anymore. I don't care who it is or what uniform they're wearing. If I'm home alone and someone knocks, I don't even look through the peephole. Because last time I did, I almost died. Story 2. The handyman. Mom worked double shifts on Saturdays, so I was used to being home alone. That morning, she'd mentioned a handyman was coming to fix our broken furnace around noon. His name was Troy something, and she'd left a check on the kitchen counter for him. When he knocked 11:45, I checked through the window. White van in the driveway, toolbox in hand, official-looking work shirt with Comfort Home Services embroidered on it. I let him in and pointed him toward the basement. Shouldn't take more than an hour, he said with a friendly smile. I went back to my room to finish my homework. About 20 minutes later, I heard footsteps coming up the basement stairs. Then they stopped at my bedroom door. Hey, Pauline. His voice sounded different now. Quieter. Can you come here for a second? Need to show you something. Something in his tone made my skin crawl. I grabbed my phone and opened the door just a crack. Troy was standing there, but he wasn't holding tools anymore. He was holding my mom's jewelry box from her bedroom. Found this in your furnace vent, he said, his smile gone. Weird place to keep valuables, isn't it? My heart stopped. The jewelry box was always on Mom's dresser. He'd been in her room. He'd been going through our house. I think we should call your mom together, he said, stepping closer. Have a little chat about insurance fraud. Unless you and I can work something out. I took a step back into my room. I don't know what you're talking about. That box is always on my mom's dresser. Troy's expression hardened. Don't play games with me, kid. I found it in the vent. Now either your mom's hiding assets from someone. Ex-husband, maybe? The IRS? Or, he paused, his eyes scanning my room. Or maybe you've been stealing from her. What? No. You went into her room and took it. He set the jewelry box down on my dresser and pulled out his phone. Here's what's going to happen, Pauline. I'm going to need some cash to forget I ever saw this. Let's call a finder's fee. Because if I report this to the authorities, someone's going to have a lot of explaining to do. I was trapped. He was blocking my doorway, and my room had no other exit. My phone was in my hand, but I didn't dare try to use it while he was watching. How much? I asked, stalling. What VE you got? Maybe $50 in my desk drawer. Troy laughed. $50? That jewelry box has at least $2,000 worth of stuff in it. I'm thinking, $500. Cash. Now, I don't have $500. Then we got a problem. He took another step into my room. Because I'm not leaving without it. And I'm not leaving any witnesses who can say I was here. The way he said witnesses made my blood run cold. This wasn't about money anymore. Maybe it never was. My mom will be home soon, I said, trying to sound confident. No, she won't. Double shift means she's gone until at least 9 o'clock. I checked. He smiled, and it was the ugliest thing I'd ever seen. I always check. My mind raced. I needed to get past him, get to the front door, get outside where neighbors could see. But he was bigger, stronger, and blocking the only way out. Then I remembered my window. My bedroom was on the second floor, but there was a porch roof right below it. I'd snuck out that way a few times last summer to meet friends. Okay, I said, moving toward my desk. I have some money saved. Let me just... I grabbed the desk chair and swung it at him with everything I had. It caught him in the shoulder. He stumbled backward into the hallway, cursing. I didn't wait. I ran to my window, threw it open, and climbed out onto the roof. Pauline, Troy was at my window. Get back here. I slid down the sloped roof toward the edge. It was about a 10-foot drop to the front lawn. Behind me, I heard Troy climbing out the window. I jumped. The landing knocked the wind out of me, but nothing felt broken. I scrambled to my feet and ran toward Mrs. Kowalski's house next door. She was retired and always home. I pounded on her door, looking back at my house. Troy was standing on the porch roof, looking down at me. For a second, I thought he might jump too. Then he saw Mrs. Kowalski opening her door. He saw me pointing, shouting for her to call 911. He climbed back through my window and disappeared. Mrs. Kowalski pulled me inside and locked her door. She called the police while I tried to explain between gasps. 2 minutes later, Troy's van came tearing out of our driveway and sped down the street. The police arrived and searched our house. My mom's jewelry box was still on my dresser. Troy hadn't even taken it with him. They found his toolbox in our basement, abandoned. His real tools were still in it, along with something else. A small camera on a tripod, pointed at our basement stairs. He was filming. The officer explained to my mom when she got home early. We think he's been targeting homes with single women and teenage girls. The handyman thing gets him inside. Then he plants cameras. Comes back later when he knows they're alone. They found his van abandoned 2 miles away. His real name wasn't Troy. The uniform was a fake, bought online. The real Comfort Home Services had never heard of him and definitely hadn't sent anyone to our house. They never caught him. The detective said he probably left town, that he'd done this before in other states. He's smart, the detective told us. He moves around, never stays in one place long enough to establish a pattern. Mom installed new locks. We got a security system with cameras of our own. She made sure I was never home alone anymore. If she had to work, I went to stay with my aunt across town. But 3 months later, Mom got a package in the mail. No return address. Inside was a USB drive. The police took it, analyzed it. It contained footage from our basement camera, hours of video of me and Mom going about our daily lives, completely unaware we were being watched. And at the end of the footage, there was a new video, just 10 seconds long. It showed the outside of our house. Current footage. The timestamp was from 2 days ago.